Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Week 1 NFL season is here. Thursday Night Football kicks things off with the champs hosting the Cowboys. We're going to be taking a look at Eagles and Cowboys here on this Thursday Night Football game. Got plenty of matchup data for you. Some stuff from last season, obviously, as we don't have any data from this year. Plus, going to have some player prop looks for you as always. Also, got a lot of new stuff I want to share with you guys on Land Your Bets this season, including the website that's coming, which has allowed us to invite Nate Weitzer into the fold here in LYB. He's going to be our NFL senior analyst, bringing us all of his picks, looking at early stuff during the week, looking at player props. Going to have him on the show now to drop a bet for Thursday Night Football for us as well. I know he's looking at one of the receivers there. And we also have projections coming this season. So we're going to have projections for every single game for any player that has a line, right? So anybody with a prop line up on the books will be in our projections, including for this week. So if you do want to jump into all that stuff, it's going to be on landyourbets.com. More to come there, and I'll be sharing some of those projections with you in this episode as well. So if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into things. Let's get right into this matchup, starting with the boys on offense here. And things probably will get a little bit better for them, at least because they've got Dak back and they've got George Pickens now. That run game, still very suspect, but passing yards, they were 12th, pass EPA, 4th worst. We know that. Rushing yards, even worse. And I don't know if that's going to get better, like I said, especially with the offensive line troubles that they have. And we'll talk about that here. A couple rooks in there, players that really haven't played together yet this season or during the preseason at all. So we're not really sure what to expect from this Cowboys offensive line, but I think they'll probably end up throwing a good amount once again this game if they do find themselves trailing. That defense for the Eagles, top 3 in the league. We know that. There's no question about it. That was last season, and it's not really much different this year. I would expect them to continue to be really good. Now, the pass defense, it might be a little bit worse because of the defensive backfield being a little bit worse, losing some players, guys getting a little bit older. I still think the coverages they run and the pressure that they're able to get with just 4 should be enough to help them out. And as far as the rushing yards, it's going to continue to be one of the best rush defenses as well, with the pressure that they're able to get with the front 8. And the fact that they don't necessarily, at least last year, they didn't really have to double too often in order to cover the receivers. So we got to keep that in mind. And as far as the lines go here, I just want to mention the Philly line is 3rd best in defensive line in terms of adjusted yards before contact. And you're going to hear us talking about that a lot on the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Network, because we do care about how the offensive line and defensive line do, right? The average yards before contact indicates if you're getting a lot of those as an offensive line, you're pushing forward. If you're not getting a lot of those, then you're having trouble. The Philly defensive line, 3rd best, pushing forward. The Dallas offensive line, basically like 7th worst, pushing forward. So we're going to see that defensive line, I think, for Philly continue to dominate in this one. Can't talk about this Cowboys defense without talking about what happened just, a week or 2 ago now. Micah Parsons, gone. So edge rushers for the Cowboys are somewhat non-existent. That's why you are going to see them struggle to defend the pass. The passing yards allowed last season, not terrible, but that was in part because they weren't winning very often, and so teams didn't really have to pass against them. They could run as well all day, every day. This was a bottom 3 rush defense for this Cowboys squad. Don't see how it's going to get much better this year. In fact, it's sort of projecting as like a bottom 5 to 10 defense in the league right now. And this Philly offense is the same that it was, maybe a little bit better. I mean, one more year together, it's just going to, if they're healthy, they'll definitely be, right? A couple of injuries to the wide receivers throughout the year, and they've got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith coming in healthy this year, ready to go. So I think the passing yards, whether they go up or down, the pass EPA is the key here, right? The underlying metrics for this passing game are that it's very good and it's very effective. And it doesn't necessarily matter that they don't need to get as many yards per game. And that's largely due to the fact that they're winning in the first half. So Jalen Hurts' passing attempts go way down in the second half. And they're not even that high in the first half, right? It's like 17 per game in the first half and like 11 per game in the second half. That was the disparity for Jalen Hurts last year. So I would continue to believe in their running game and the amount that they're going to use their running game with Saquon. Some stuff that we'll get into here right now, as well as we talk about these player props. But one more thing to add, I love the adjusted yards before contact. Philly on offense was 2nd and Dallas was 3rd worst. So this Philly offensive line probably going to have the same level of success the defensive line is going to have on the other side of the ball. Quick little graphic to show you how important Micah Parsons has been. These numbers are since 2021 when he joined the team. Without Micah Parsons on the field since 2021, the pressure rate for this team drops from about 37.5% down to 33.5%. Let's just start there because that's the equivalent of last year. If they were with Micah Parsons on the field, they're like the 6th best pressure defense. Without him on the field, they're about the 20th best pressure defense. So that tells you how important he was just from being on the field, off the field. You look at opponent yards per play, 5.6 yards per play is good for second worst in the league since 2021 for Micah Parsons, without Micah Parsons on the field for this defense. And the touchdown rate goes up as well to about 5% for the opponent without Micah Parsons. So I think it's pretty obvious, but I just wanted to show you how obvious it was that they're going to be missing Micah Parsons this season. As we jump into the player props I'm looking at, I want to start here with the Swish and Info graphic, which shows you, right, this is the projections that I was talking about. Swish, my boy, absolute mastermind, absolute psychopath when it comes to this stuff, and has put into his projections some really, really great information to help spit out some of these really solid projections like I'm saying here. We have him at about 37 attempts, 23, 24 completions, around 230, 231 on the yards. But there is a feeling, and I taught Swish and myself both kind of feel that this might be a little bit low. You might still be able to get a decent amount of attempts here for Dak if you believe in this 7.5 point spread. If you project a closer game, then there are going to be fewer attempts for him, and you might want this to be a stay away. But Dak didn't really get to play this team at all last year, and so we don't really have recent data versus the Eagles as he missed both the games. I still think he's going to be in line for a bigger game than any of the quarterbacks had for Dallas against Philly last season. And I do think he'll be involved in the run game a little bit more, the way that they sort of met, at least in terms of getting him out of the pocket and rolling out a little bit more and not keeping him just right there in between the tackles for the majority of the plays. Some design stuff to the outside to get him rolling. I think that's going to help him a lot too. So while this doesn't seem like the best projection for Dak overall, I think we can probably also give him a bump in yards just a little bit here if they are going to be playing from behind. A bet that I do have and that I already gave out in the VIP around RB, Javonte Williams here, former Bronco coming into Dallas and is the lead back to start, but it's like 1A, 1B, and really 1C, because we could also see the Rook Blue get in there and get some touches from week one moving forward. I just say this dude's job is not safe. Plus, the game script doesn't really call for runs. As we know, they're going to continue to be pass heavy. They were pass heavy regardless last year. Sixth highest percentage of their plays were passes versus the run. And they really couldn't run. They had the ninth fewest attempts because it wasn't good. And I don't see how it's going to get better. These offensive line issues for this squad are real, right? You've got the Zach Martin gone now. So we've got a couple guys coming in for the Cowboys to try to help them out. We're seeing Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, and then Tyler Booker, the Rook, right? All three of those guys haven't been on the field at the same time yet. So we still don't know what we're getting because we've had some injuries here for Booker, who, by the way, the rookie is known as a pass blocker, not a run blocker. So it doesn't really seem like he's going to help the run game just yet, especially replacing Zach Martin. That's going to be tough to do. The game script, everything else, not really sort of projecting for good numbers here and big usage for Javonte. So we have him for about 7 rushes for about 33 yards in the projections. I think that's fair. So if you take under 40, under 37 or so in that range, you're looking at a pretty good edge to the under for Javonte Williams rushing. All right, y'all, as promised, we've got Nate Weitzer here jumping into the Land Your Bets Sports Betting Network, going to be writing stuff for us, making bets in the NFL, all things you need here. Got the power rankings every week, so definitely wanted to intro him on the first video of the year. My man, how you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm glad to bring the NFL picks here to a separate space. We've been doing this for a while with Coast to Coast podcast, just doing player props, but going to be bringing you guys picks that are not, as streamlined to just players, some team props, some game picks, sides and totals and all that. So nice to have that open-ended forum.
Yeah, no, I much appreciate that because I was telling people too, like I'm focused on the NFL until the NBA starts, and splitting my attention not always the best. So I'm definitely a little bit more focused on NBA than NFL during the regular season. After about week 6 or so, Nate's going to keep bringing it for us all season long, which very, very grateful for. We will be continuing to have our show on thelines.com and lineups, as it's now known as well. So you can check that stuff out there. But definitely wanted to get you in here to just show your face real quick. Tell everyone we're going to have some written stuff on the website that's coming out, and then see if you want to drop a play for us real quick here. For this Thursday night game, as I'm running through all that stuff for myself now. I left you the one I knew you'd like, so let's jump into what you're looking at here for this one.
Oh, yeah, you knew I was going here with CeeDee. Yeah, I mean, as we know, Dak is back. The Cowboys are going to be pass heavy, despite what their coaches are saying, is that they're going to try to establish the run. New offensive coordinator is very much an O-line guy who's like, we're going to be physical at the point of attack. It's just not going to work against this Eagles defense, and they're probably going to fall behind because their defense is ferocious. Yes, both horrendous and atrocious. So we expect the second half that should be pass heavy, and obviously CeeDee's capable of eating here. Even though Cooper DeJean is really nice as a nickel corner, and I think the Eagles, last year they used kind of like a triangle coverage almost with CeeDee to try to contain him. But now we have George Pickens, who is a legitimate threat. And so people often look at that as like, oh, that'll funnel targets away from CD. I see that as an absolute positive. Is that like if you get Pickens on taking the top off of defense, like you're going to have to put resources that way. I think both guys will be able to exploit this Eagles zone coverage at times. They do leave holes on crossers, which is where CD is absolutely explosive, which is why he could get up to that yardage total. 74 is where his prop is at. I sprinkled a little bit on him to lead the game in receiving, which is 2-1 on your money. I do think AJ Brown could also absolutely feast in this game. If Trayvon Diggs doesn't go for the Cowboys, they really don't have a talented corner to deal with him. But again, we're projecting game script. We think Eagles are going to be run heavy as they were last year. Most, lowest pass rate over expectation in the whole damn league. So even though AJ can kill people, they don't necessarily throw it to him. But yeah, if we're playing from behind, you can also, if the Eagles go man, their new corner, Adoree Jackson, you're very familiar with, Josh, as the former Giant. It's about 2 to 3 years removed from his prime, we could say, getting up there in age. He'll probably resurrect his career and be solid with the Eagles because that's what they do. They pull guys off the scrap heap and they turn them into gems. But even in his prime, much better with outside leverage, taking away deep balls. And that's not really CD's game, right? So if you give him outside leverage, he will just eat you up on those crossers, on the hitch routes. So just that's why I think he's going to be productive, a combination of how he's going to be played and the way the game's going to unfold.
Fully agree. Not sure how much success they're going to have running the ball, which is going to be a big part of it as well. That offensive line for the Cowboys is not necessarily something right now. They haven't played together, right? We know they lost Zach Martin. I think that's going to cause problems in that run game against basically one of the best, if not the best rush defense coming into this season already, based on last season. Everything is lining up for him to be able to do it. As far as the last question I have for you before we let you go is who would be the person that you would think would challenge him for the game lead in yards? And the reason I ask that is because I'm actually a little bit, at least according to the trends as of late for the Eagles, when Smith and AJ Brown are playing at the beginning of the season, Devontae Smith has out-targeted him in the earlier parts of the season, first quarter of the season or so. AJ Brown usually picking it up over the last couple seasons towards the middle into the second half of the season. I would almost be more worried about Devonta Smith personally than AJ Brown, but I'm wondering if you think AJ is the guy who sort of challenges CD for the lead in receiving yards in this one.
Matchup wise, the Cowboys are less equipped to deal with AJ Brown. Like they have guys who are decent enough on the interior receiver like Devontae, but they have no good boundary corner. I mean, we don't even know if Trayvon Diggs is going to be healthy. If he's he's dealing with another issue on top of the fact that he had the ACL surgery. To be honest, he got torched by AJ Brown before he tore his ACL. So, but if he's not out there, we're looking at replacement level players and rookies on maybe, a top 5 receiver in the game. So it is AJ for me. And in terms of just the take the top off the play, defense plays that Eagles might be able to produce and the Cowboys won't. So I don't think Pickens is going to outgain Lamb because I think it's going to have to be methodical against this Vic Fangio defense that plays so much quarters, that takes away the 20-yard pass or more. So that's why I think, it's going to be Lamb all day underneath.
Yep. No, I like that. I like the logic that you're using here. I appreciate it. We kind of turned this into a wide receiver segment for us, which I appreciate because I've got looks here for other guys, mostly in the run game and some quarterbacks. So I want to kind of talk about that stuff personally. But I'm glad we got into the wide receiver stuff with you, Nate. Appreciate you jumping on. We are going to be back. I know you're going to have your own slate of episodes as well. I'll jump on some of your stuff, but you're going to be all over the YouTube channel and landyourbets.com. So looking forward to bringing all that stuff to you guys with Nate this season. And until we talk to you, Nate, we'll talk to you a bit later here and get into your videos. But until then, happy betting to yourself.
Yes, sir.
Looking at the Eagles now, I wanted to show you the model projecting Dallas Goedert because we do like him in this game. This might be a little high. I think we're sort of tweaking the projection still. Probably still have him around 43, 44 yards. So 46 might be a few yards high, but not really. This is around what we expect for him. It is nearly 4 catches, and those should be good for about 10 yards per game, per reception, in part because of the ADOT that is allowed, the average depth of target for tight ends against the Cowboys last year. Really, really good. They allowed the second highest average depth of target to the position, and Goedert was running some pretty nice routes last year, had the highest ADOT of his career, got some really good yak last year as well, putting him in position to get the ball, break one tackle, and he's good to go, right? And that was a big reason for his yardage and his outburst last year, even with Smith and Brown on the field, because there are a lot of people who realize that last year Goddard's big games came without both of those players, or at least one of them. But at the same time, when they both came back, he still saw the same amount of targets as Devonta Smith, a 22% target share for him. It was like 27, 28% for A.J. Brown, and then the same 22% for Devonta Smith. So he's a top 3 target. He's right on the same level as these two guys, in the same tier as Devonta Smith. And I think that continues against a Cowboys team that is just bad against the tight end, and will not be better now that their linebacking core has gotten even worse without Micah Parsons. Another bet that the model does like, and I just wanted to bring up Saquon here with you guys, is his receiving, because I think you're good to take either receptions or yards, although the yards are the thing that I'd prefer here, in part because this Philly staff is emphasizing that they would like to get him involved in the pass game a lot more, right? And this is the other part of the projections that I'm really, really proud to bring you guys, for those of you who join the premium picks and such. The fact that we're getting and scraping the internet with these projections for subjective info, not just the numbers and the data. We also want to scrape the internet for the podcasts and the coach speak and the interviews that we're getting out there that help us sort of make bets, right? See how this team might play coming up, right? And the staff here for the Eagles has been on podcasts, they've been in interviews, and they've been saying they really want to get him involved in the pass game more. And that has led to a bit of a higher projection in our model here to get him to closer to about 15, 16 yards receiving. And I think this is worth a little alt line play up to 20 plus yards receiving for Saquon. If you look at the games last year, there were 8 games where he had at least 13 yards receiving, right? To get over his 13.5 yard prop right now. All of 8 of those games, he also had 20 plus yards. So for about plus 150 or so, you can still get Saquon to get the 20 plus receiving yards. I think that's a good look as well. Now, they should be able to rush the ball. That would be the thing that scares you about this play, is that the rushing should be available, and he might not need to even be involved in the pass game. But I do think that when he is involved in the pass game, he'll be seeing a few more targets, probably closer to 4 targets or so. And he didn't do that often last year. A lot of times it was about 2, 3, maybe just 1 target for Saquon. This year, I think we're going to see a lot more games with about 4 or so targets for him. That should lead to being able to get about 15 plus yards per game or so. Last look I hear is just more of a cautionary look. It's about Jalen Hurts, and I think it's a stay away. I know that people probably weren't in a big rush to bet on his passing anyway, with the assumption that they're going to be winning at the half and that this is going to be a positive game script for them, meaning they can run the ball because they should have the lead. That said, I kind of like a fade even more than a stay away for Hurts on the passing yards, mostly because this is not going to be a great matchup for him in terms of the new way that we expect Dallas to play this defense, right? Matt Eberflus out in Chicago, obviously, back here now in Dallas as the DC, the defensive coordinator, and that should lead to a good amount of zone, right? A lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3. That's Eberflus's history, especially with the Colts. That was a lot of his look there, right? Hurts much better against man, right? 25th rated passer versus cover 2 and 3, in part because the threat to run is there against man more than zone, right? And as a result, when he's the threat to run, the defense has to focus on him a little bit more. If you're playing man, that's going to be tough. If you're playing zone, everybody's got their eyes on the quarterback anyway, which keeps him from rushing too often as well. And I do think that that's going to be a problem for him. He was the 2nd rated passer versus man coverage last year. He was the 25th rated passer versus covers 2 and 3 specifically. And again, if you think the blowout is imminent or coming, then the passing yards would not be the way to go. So I would be staying away from passing yards, but if you're going to bet it, I'd be going under before I went over. All right, y'all, that is all the time we have for you in this one. Definitely make sure to check out the description of the video. Going to have links to whatever you need. Make sure you're getting all the content that we're bringing from Nate, myself, and from Swish Info and the projections there. So really looking forward to an amazing NFL season with y'all. And until I see you next, happy betting.